Hey warriors, there's a strange kind of magic that happens when you finally let go. Not the kind of magic you read about in fairy tales, but the real kind. The kind that changes everything without changing anything at all. It's the moment when your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, and somewhere deep inside, you whisper to the universe, "I trust you." You've been carrying it all, haven't you? The weight of tomorrow's problems, the burden of what might go wrong, the endless loop of what if, playing like a broken record in your mind. And here's the truth nobody tells you. Worry doesn't empty tomorrow of its troubles. It empties today of its peace. Think about water for a moment. When you clench your fist around it, it slips through your fingers. But when you hold your hand open gently, it rests in your palm. Life works the same way. The tighter you grip, the more control you try to force, the more everything seems to fall apart. But when you soften, when you stop wrestling with every outcome, something miraculous unfolds. Things start working out. Not because you stopped caring, not because you gave up, but because you made space. Space for solutions you couldn't see through the fog of anxiety. Space for opportunities that were always there, waiting for you to notice. Space for life to surprise you in ways your worried mind could never imagine. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He knew what we're all learning, that peace isn't found in controlling everything. It's found in releasing what was never ours to control. Today, we're going to walk through something together. 9 truths that will shift how you see worry, how you hold your life, and how you move forward. These aren't just ideas, they're doorways. And on the other side of each one is a version of you that sleeps better at night, smiles more during the day, and watches in quiet amazement as things begin to align. If this message is already touching something in your soul, hit that like button. Type in the comments, "I trust the process." Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel, and whatever you do, don't skip any part of this video. Are you ready? Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Let's begin. Number 1. Your mind is not a fortune teller. Here's what your anxious mind wants you to believe. It can predict the future. It whispers disaster scenarios like they're facts. It shows you vivid images of failure, rejection, and loss, and convinces you that seeing it means it's coming. But here's the reality. Your mind is terrible at predicting the future. Absolutely terrible. Think back to a year ago. Remember what you were worried about. Now look at where you are today. How many of those fears actually happened? And of the ones that did, how many unfolded exactly as you imagined? The truth is, most of what we worry about never comes to pass. And the things that do happen, they rarely look like what we feared. Research shows that 85% of what we worry about never actually occurs. And for the 15% that does happen, 79% of people report handling it better than they expected. Let that sink in. You're spending your precious energy on stories that probably won't come true. And even if they do, you're stronger than you think. Your mind isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. That's its job. It's running ancient software designed for a world where predicting danger meant survival. But you're not being chased by predators anymore. You're being chased by thoughts. And thoughts aren't facts. Epictetus taught, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He understood that the prison isn't what's happening around us, it's what's happening within us. So what happens when you stop treating your worried thoughts as prophecies? Everything shifts. You start seeing them for what they are, suggestions, not commands, possibilities, not certainties. Your mind still offers up anxious scenarios, but you don't have to RSVP to every invitation to panic. you can acknowledge the thought and let it pass. Thank you, mind, for trying to protect me, but I'm okay right now. Present moment, present breath, present peace. When you stop treating worry as preparation, you discover something beautiful. You don't need to rehearse disaster to handle life. You've already survived 100% of your worst days. You're here, you're breathing, you're capable. Watch what happens when you stop fortune-telling. You stop living in timelines that don't exist. You stop arguing with versions of the future that your mind made up. And in that space, in that beautiful, clear space, life starts working out. Not because you controlled it, but because you stopped getting in your own way. Comment below if you're ready to let go. I am at peace. Number 2, the universe rewards open hands. There's a powerful paradox woven into the fabric of life. The moment you stop strangling your dreams with desperation, they start breathing again. Think about a time when you wanted something so badly it hurt. Maybe it was a relationship, a job, an opportunity. You obsessed over it. You checked your phone constantly. You rehearsed conversations in your head. You gripped it so tightly that your knuckles turned white. And what happened? It either slipped away, or when you finally got it, it didn't feel the way you imagined. Now think about something good that came into your life unexpectedly, something you weren't desperately chasing. Maybe you met someone special when you stopped looking. Maybe an opportunity appeared when you were focused on something else. Maybe a solution arrived the moment you stopped forcing it. This isn't coincidence. This is how life works. When you're locked in worry, you're sending out a frequency of lack. You're telling the universe, I don't trust you. I don't believe good things can come to me unless I control every detail. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects that energy right back to you. But when you release that grip, when you say, I'll do my part, but I won't strangle the outcome, everything changes. You become magnetic instead of desperate, attractive instead of needy, open instead of closed. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. It's not passive acceptance, it's active trust. It's saying, I will work with what comes, not against it. I will dance with life, not wrestle it to the ground. Seneca wrote, fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. You can walk into your future with open hands and an open heart, or you can be dragged there, fighting every step. Either way, you're going. But one path is graceful, and the other is exhausting. Here's what happens practically when you stop gripping so hard. Your nervous system calms down. When you're not in constant fight or flight mode, you make better decisions. You see opportunities you were blind to before. You connect with people more authentically because you're not performing or manipulating. You're just being. You also create space for creativity and intuition. Worry occupies massive bandwidth in your brain. When you release it, suddenly you have access to wisdom you didn't know you had. Solutions appear, ideas flow, the right words come at the right time. And here's the most beautiful part. When you hold things lightly, you actually enjoy them more. You're not constantly afraid of losing them. You're present with them. A relationship becomes richer when you're not suffocating it with insecurity. A goal becomes more fulfilling when you're not white-knuckling your way there. This doesn't mean you stop caring or trying. It means you care without clinging. You try without forcing. You plant seeds and water them, but you don't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. Watch what happens in your life when you start practicing open hands. Say it out loud right now. I release my tight grip. I trust what's meant for me will find me. Feel how your body softens when you say those words. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Let me know you're with me by commenting, I surrender control. Number 3. Problems solve themselves when you stop feeding them. Here's something nobody talks about. Most problems have an expiration date. They're temporary by nature. But we make them permanent by giving them all our attention, all our energy, all our emotional real estate. You've experienced this. Remember a problem that felt absolutely crushing a few months ago? Where is it now? Gone, solved, irrelevant, or maybe still there, but somehow you've adapted and it doesn't have the same power over you. Time does something to problems, but more importantly, not obsessing over them does something even more powerful. When you worry constantly about a problem, you're essentially watering a weed. You're giving it nutrients. You're helping it grow. Your attention is energy, and wherever you direct that energy, you get more of it. More anxiety, more scenarios, more reasons to worry. But here's the beautiful truth. When you stop feeding a problem with your anxious attention, one of three things happens. First, it actually resolves itself. You'd be amazed how many situations work themselves out when you're not in there meddling, overthinking, and making things worse with your interference. Second, a solution appears that you couldn't see before. It was always there, but your worried mind was too noisy to notice it. It's like trying to hear someone whisper while you're standing next to a jet engine. When you quiet the worry, you can finally hear the wisdom. Third, you realize it wasn't actually a problem. It was just a situation. A neutral circumstance that your mind labeled as catastrophic. When you stop treating every challenge like an emergency, you discover that most things are just life, just weather passing through. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that again. The problem isn't usually the problem. Your relationship with the problem is the problem. So, what does it look like practically to stop feeding your problems? It means you acknowledge them without dramatizing them. Okay, this is happening. What's the next right step? That's it. No catastrophizing, no mental time travel to worst-case scenarios. Just, what's the next right step? It means you create boundaries around problem thinking. You give yourself designated times to address challenges, and the rest of the time, you live your life. You don't carry every problem into every moment of your day. It means you stop talking about the problem constantly. Every time you rehash it with someone, you're reliving it. You're reinforcing the neural pathways of anxiety. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop discussing what's wrong and start experiencing what's right. When you stop feeding your problems, you starve them of the power they had over you. And in that starvation, you discover something incredible. You're more resourceful than you knew. Life is more supportive than you believed. And most of what you worried about was smoke, not fire. Try this today. Pick one problem you've been obsessing over. Just for today, don't think about it unless you're actively taking a step to address it. Notice what happens. Notice the space that opens up. Notice the energy that returns to you. Share your commitment in the comments. I release worry. Number 4. Your body knows before your mind does. There's an intelligence in your body that your worried mind constantly overrides. And when you start listening to it, everything changes. Your body is always talking to you. It's sending signals, giving you information, guiding you toward what's right and away from what's not. But worry is so loud that it drowns out this ancient wisdom. Think about it. When you're about to make a decision that's wrong for you, what happens? Your stomach tightens, your chest feels heavy, your breathing becomes shallow. That's not anxiety lying to you. That's your body telling you the truth. And when something is right, even if it's scary, there's a different quality to the sensation. There's nervousness, yes, but underneath it is a sense of expansion, of rightness, of, yes, this is my path, even though it's uncomfortable. But we've been taught to ignore these signals. We've been taught that logic should override feeling, that thinking harder will solve everything. So we worry and analyze and overthink, trying to figure everything out from the neck up, while our body is screaming the answer we refuse to hear. Here's what happens when you stop worrying and start listening to your body. You make better decisions. Not just good decisions, better decisions. Because your body holds information your conscious mind doesn't have access to. It remembers every experience you've ever had. It recognizes patterns before your thinking mind can articulate them. The Stoics understood this connection between body and mind. They didn't see them as separate. Epictetus taught his students to pay attention to their physical responses, to notice tension and release, to use the body as a guide for living well. When you're stuck in worry, your body is stuck in stress response. Your nervous system is firing like you're being chased. Cortisol floods your system. Your digestion shuts down. Your immune system weakens. Your body is preparing for immediate danger, but the danger is imaginary. And here's the cruel irony. This physical state of stress actually makes you worse at problem solving. The worried, stress-flooded brain is less creative, less flexible, less able to see solutions. So, you worry about problems, which puts your body in a state that makes you less equipped to solve those problems. It's a vicious cycle. But when you stop worrying, when you consciously release that tension, your body shifts into a different state, a state where healing happens, where intuition flows, where clarity emerges. Try this right now. Notice where you're holding tension. Is it your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach? Just notice it. Don't judge it. And then, with intention, soften that area. Take a deep breath and let it go. Feel that small release. That's your body saying thank you. That's your nervous system starting to trust that you're safe. And from that place of safety, of softness, of trust, that's where your best life unfolds. Start checking in with your body throughout the day, not to judge it or fix it, but to listen to it. What are you trying to tell me? What do you need? Sometimes the answer is rest. Sometimes it's movement. Sometimes it's just acknowledgement. Your body is not your enemy. It's not betraying you with anxiety. It's trying to help you. And when you stop worrying long enough to actually hear what it's saying, you discover a guide you've had all along. Watch how things start working out when you honor your body's wisdom, when you rest when you need rest, when you move when you need movement, when you say no to things that make your whole system contract, and yes to things that make you feel expansive. This isn't indulgence. This is intelligence. This is listening to the smartest part of you. Type this below if it speaks to you. I trust myself. Number 5. Worry is a habit, and habits can change. Here's something that might surprise you. You're not a naturally worried person. You're a person who has practiced worry so much that it became automatic. There's a difference, and that difference changes everything. You weren't born worrying about tomorrow. Watch a small child. They're fully in the moment, completely absorbed in what's right in front of them. Worry is learned. It's practiced. And here's the empowering truth. Anything that's practiced can be unpracticed. Think about the neural pathways in your brain, like trails through a forest. The first time you worry about something, you're making a small path through the brush. It's effortful. But the more you walk that path, the more you rehearse that worry, the wider and clearer that trail becomes. Eventually, it becomes a highway. Your brain defaults to it automatically. That's why worry feels so natural. That's why the moment something uncertain appears, your mind immediately goes there. Not because you're broken, not because something's wrong with you, but because you've practiced that route thousands of times. But here's the beautiful part. You can create new trails. You can practice different responses. And the more you walk the new path, the fainter the old one becomes. Neuroscience backs this up completely. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity, the ability to reorganize itself, to form new connections, to literally rewire. The brain you have today isn't the brain you're stuck with forever. Every thought you think, every pattern you practice is sculpting your brain in real time. So, when you catch yourself starting to worry and you consciously choose a different response, you're not just changing that moment, you're rewiring your default setting for the future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." He knew that thoughts aren't just things that happen to us, they're things we can cultivate. Here's how this works practically. Let's say you wake up and immediately start worrying about your day. That's the old trail, the automatic highway. But instead of following it, you pause. You notice, oh, there's the worry again. You're not judging it, you're just noticing it. And then you consciously choose a different thought. Not a fake positive thought that you don't believe, but a true thought that serves you better. Maybe, I've handled every day that's come before this one. Or, I'll deal with things as they arise. Or simply, right now, in this moment, I'm okay. The first 100 times you do this, it feels forced. The old trail is so much easier. But keep going. Keep choosing the new response. Keep walking the new path. And then one day, something shifts. You wake up and the worry doesn't automatically appear. Or it does, but it's quieter, easier to release. The new trail has become stronger than the old one. This isn't about toxic positivity. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. This is about retraining your default response from catastrophize first, think later, to stay calm, address what's real, let go of what's imaginary. You can literally practice peace the same way you've practiced worry. When things are going well, instead of waiting for the other shoe to drop, you can practice gratitude. When you're uncertain, instead of spinning worst-case scenarios, you can practice trust. Every single time you choose differently, you're changing your brain. You're weakening the worry habit and strengthening the peace habit. Watch what happens when you realize worry isn't who you are. It's just what you've been practicing. Suddenly, you have power. You're not a victim of your anxious mind. You're a person learning a new skill. And like any skill, it gets easier with practice. The peace you're seeking isn't something you find out there. It's something you practice right here, right now, one conscious choice at a time. Show me you're choosing differently. Comment, I choose peace. Number 6. What you focus on expands. There's a law operating in your life right now, whether you're aware of it or not. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's completely impartial. What you focus on expands. Not sometimes, not maybe, always. When you focus on what's going wrong, you find more evidence of what's going wrong. When you focus on what you lack, you feel more lacking. When you focus on your fears, those fears become bigger, louder, more convincing. But the reverse is also true. When you focus on what's working, you notice more of what's working. When you focus on possibility, possibilities appear. When you focus on gratitude, you find more to be grateful for. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, a filter that determines what information gets through to your conscious awareness. There's too much happening around you at any moment for you to process it all, so your brain filters. And what does it filter for? Whatever you've told it is important. Here's a simple example. You decide you want a red car. Suddenly, you see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now your brain is filtering for them. You've told your brain, this matters, show me this. Worry works the same way. When you're constantly focused on what could go wrong, your brain starts filtering your entire reality through that lens. It shows you evidence of danger. It highlights problems. It misses opportunities because it's not looking for them. You're essentially programming your brain to hunt for reasons to be anxious. And your brain, being the incredibly efficient tool it is, delivers exactly what you asked for. But when you stop worrying and start intentionally directing your focus, everything shifts. You're not ignoring reality. You're choosing which part of reality to amplify. Because here's the truth. At any given moment, multiple realities exist simultaneously. Things are going wrong and things are going right. There are problems and there are blessings. There is uncertainty and there is stability. The question isn't which reality is true. They're both true. The question is, which reality are you going to focus on? Which one are you going to expand? Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He saw that humans have this unique ability to multiply their suffering by focusing on it, replaying it, projecting it into the future. But we also have the unique ability to multiply our peace, our joy, our sense of possibility by focusing there instead. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. If your house is on fire, you don't stand there thinking positive thoughts. You put out the fire. But most of what we worry about isn't an actual fire. It's smoke, it's shadows, it's imagination. And even when there are real challenges, you still get to choose. Do I focus on the challenge itself, or do I focus on my capacity to handle it? Do I focus on what's falling apart, or do I focus on what I'm building? Do I focus on what I've lost, or what I still have? Here's what happens practically when you shift your focus from worry to what's working. Opportunities appear. People show up to help. Resources you didn't notice before become visible. Synchronicities happen. Not because you manifested them with magical thinking, but because you stopped being so consumed by anxiety that you couldn't see what was right in front of you. Start this practice today. Every time you catch yourself spiraling into worry, pause and ask, what else is true right now? What's working? What's good? What's possible? Make it a game. Challenge your brain to find evidence of good. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that went right. They don't have to be big. Maybe you had a good conversation. Maybe you ate a delicious meal. Maybe the sun felt warm on your face. Train your brain to hunt for the good. Watch what happens over time. The good doesn't just seem more frequent. It actually becomes more frequent because you're moving through your life with open eyes instead of anxious tunnel vision. You're responding to opportunities instead of being frozen in fear. What you focus on expands. So, focus on what you want to expand in your life. Focus on peace. Focus on possibility. Focus on your strength, your resilience, your capacity to handle whatever comes. And watch as your entire experience of life transforms, not because life changed, but because you changed what you're looking at. If you feel this shift happening, write, I see abundance. Number 7. The present moment is always okay. Here's a question that will change your life. Right now, in this exact moment, are you okay? Not tomorrow. Not if something bad happens. Not if your fears come true. Right now, this breath, this moment. Are you okay? The answer is almost always yes. All your worry lives in the future. Every bit of it. You're not worried about right now. You're worried about what might happen, what could go wrong, what you might lose. But none of that is happening right now. Right now you're breathing, you're alive, you're here. And in this moment, you're okay. This isn't denial. This isn't pretending challenges don't exist. This is the profound realization that worry doesn't live in reality. It lives in your projection of the future. And the future doesn't exist. It never has. It never will. All you ever have is this moment. And then the next one. And then the next one. A long string of present moments that you either meet with presence or miss because you're lost in your head. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not because the future doesn't matter, but because the future isn't here. And trying to live in a time that doesn't exist is the source of almost all suffering. When you bring yourself back to the present moment, something magical happens. The weight lifts, because in this moment, there's nothing to solve. There's just this breath."